Hey everyone, I'm Sir Staxalot, and welcome to my channel, and the second episode of Making Sense of History. Today I'm going to take you all the way back to 100 BC Jerusalem, 103 BC to be exact. Interesting time to be in Jerusalem. In the ancient world in general, a lot was going on. The Greek Empire had disappeared, and we're about to see the emergence of the Roman Empire. And in Jerusalem, the king of Jerusalem is King Alexander Judaeus, a Hasmonean king. Now, that Hasmonean is a monarchy title of a family monarchy, and that's why he's a Hasmonean king. So, a period of monarchy. Now, unlike King Solomon 800 years before, who in the Quran, the Hebrew Bible, and the Old Testament is greatly admired, this was not that cat. I'm telling you, this guy was evil. Alexander Judaeus, just evil. So, if you lived in the kingdom of Israel around the reign of Alexander, you most likely lived in fear. Back then, Israel was called Judea. So if you lived in the kingdom of Judea back then, you absolutely lived in fear. Whether it was from your own king or a neighboring kingdom, it was bloody. And he was hated by his own people. Almost immediately after inheriting the throne from his dead brother who had imprisoned him, he sent his kingdom into a civil war, starting in 93 BC and ending in 87 BC. After a war with the Nabateans, which is modern-day Syria, Jordan, Iraq, which was unpopular with his people. They were already angry with him over that, and it was 10 years long. He comes back, and he holds the Feast of Tabernacles in Jerusalem as the high priest. And this is an important Jewish holiday known as Sukkot. Correct me in the comments if I pronounce that wrong, I apologize. But while pouring the offering instead on the altar, he poured it on his feet as a defiance against the Pharisees, which were a political group of the highest political power in the city at the time. He was so mad after the people watching were throwing fruit at him that he ended up murdering 6,000 Jews after this. He was so upset. And so this is what I'm going to zoom out here, and I'm going to show you what the kingdom and the surrounding areas looked like in 104 BC. So this is what they look like in 104 BC. Now this saluted. Let me get this out of the way so you can see these little references I made for you guys. Now, the Seleucids were descendants of the Greek royal family, who, after the fall of the Greek Empire, the empire fractured, and you have the Seleucids right here, and they ruled these territories. And they're descendants from the Greeks. Their religions were Buddhism, Olympianism, Babylonianism, and Zoroastrianism. And so now that you see how that kind of goes, there's Judea. This is Nabatea, and this is Egypt right here where Cleopatra is. Now let's look at these coins real quick. So this is the Widows Mite. And this it was minted and circulated in Jerusalem in 104 BC to 76 BC. And here's another one. This one's And a little better condition. Now, ancient coins are a little different from modern coins. Most collectors handle them with their hands. This is bronze. You're not self-protecting. You're not going to hurt it. I'm sorry about the noise, kids outside. I apologize. This is a Roman nail, and likely the same length and style and everything used to nail Jesus to the cross. So, very cool coins. 2,000 years old you're looking at right here. All this, 2,000 years old. This is the same period. Wow, how incredible. Now, these references, we went over the Hasmonean. Hellenistic is the period of time between the death of Alexander the Great and the disappearance of the Greek Empire and the appearance of the Roman Empire. And Alexander the Great died. The Macedonian Empire fractured into pieces, and we went over that. So now that you're all caught up, I'm going to zoom in on these coins so you can look what you came to look at. Put this on here so you're not distracted by writing. And so there you go. All right. So where was I? All right. Almost immediately after inheriting the throne from his dead brother who had imprisoned him, he sent the kingdom into civil war. And we went over the civil war. His first war was with Ptolemy, the son of Cleopatra. Now, Cleopatra had banished her son from her kingdom, and he started his own kingdom, and she was about to go to war with him. And he made a peace agreement with Ptolemy, and as an act of treachery, he sided with Cleopatra and talked to her, and they went to war together against her son. Then things got so bad, she ended up making peace with her son and wanted everything to stop and cease. And it did because she was so respected in the ancient world. What she said goes. And until her death 5 years later, things were peaceful in that regard. And then Alexander, being as terrible as he is, commenced to waging wars and conquests. So then, here's the middle of his empire here. So between not quite 76 BC, but we're going to look at we're going to take a look at 90 BC and then what happened to in 89 BC. So first comes 90 BC. Let's see. So first you got 90 BC comes around. Remember, we're BC, so we're counting backwards here. So you got the kingdom of Judea. Now remember, in 104 BC, it didn't quite look like that. So if you remember in 104 BCE, it looked like this. So it's changing a little bit. So it changed a little bit. Nevatia expanded a little. Judea expanded a little. And the Seleucids kind of lost some ground. If you see, Judea now owns that swath of land from the Seleucids and this swath of land from the Seleucids. So that's what happened between 104 and 90 BC. And now look at the change between 90 and 89. Look at Nevatia. Nevatia, they start taking ground against the Seleucids. Okay? So there's lots of wars. And look at Judea from 90, from 89 to 90. Judea expanded as well. Wow. Isn't that crazy? That's a huge difference in 1 year. So, conquest continues. So now we're at 90 BC. and we're getting close to the time his reign's ending. So the Civil War ended up ending. It's not 100% clear which act ended the Civil War, but he went to war with Demetrius. Now Demetrius the third, and it was bloody. He almost lost. He had to flee into the mountains at one point by himself, and then was regrouped with other fighters who and continued on. And when he came back, he ended up slaughtering 800 of his fighters that he felt betrayed him. And then while crucifying their women and children, he watched the crucifixion of all these women and children while eating meals with his concubines. This is truly horrific, man. So his wife, the queen, who was also the wife of his brother that passed away, and her sister, the leader of the Pharisees, the ones he really didn't like, ended up coming together and dissolving him of his powers, and he lived the rest of his life until he died in 76 BC as basically a military general and not a ruler. Now, at the time of his death, you got here, you got Egypt, Nabatea, Judea, and Armenia stretches now down here and is no longer controlled by Seleucids. So between the 90 BC and 76, you got complete control change over that piece of that area of land right there, that landmass. Wow. So it's no longer even controlled by the same group of people. So, and here's a close-up look at 76 BC. Armenia right there. And then here, this is after his death. The Roman Empire shows up, and all of a sudden, you got the Roman Empire entrenching right here, and then not far long after this, this is 40 BC, Egypt gets taken by the Romans as well. So very cool story. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to let you take a quick look at these coins once more. I know you came to really see these and not listen to me yap my jaw. I really appreciate you guys staying tuned, and wow, 2,100-year-old coins and a Roman nail. Wow. And that's a Crusader coin that I promised to show you guys. Here it is. I'm making good on that promise. So, wow. This is real Crusader Templar. This came from the Crusades. This was from Ancona, Italy. And I'll tell you more about this in Friday's episode of Making Sense of History. Alright, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and stay safe and keep well, and